got a solid team behind him, and it's not always easy to get his time, but we do have JR for about 30 minutes. And I appreciate that because I've been wanting to bring JR in and his team to our show and have him interviewed. And it just so happened that I was able to get a little bit of JR today. So that's a plus. We're going to have the team in later on in August.
Yes.
Yeah. So first of all, how are you, JR?
I'm wonderful. Thank you for squeezing me in. I've tuned in on several occasions, listening to other guests, and the show is amazing. You and your team are doing a fantastic job. So today, making the time to jump in for a half an hour is a pleasure. And I do look forward next time around to spend more time. As you can see, I'm mobile today, so I am up and about in the vehicle. And yes, a beautiful day to be on the CC Realty Show.
Thank you. So, and for those that are watching, folks, I didn't give, JR, he is busy. He's up and running. And, when you're working with people that you trust and you're able to bring them in the perfect world, I wanted JR and his whole team. I'll be very honest, the real estate market is hot. It's not slowing down. So there's no, we're running longer days, but I think it's important. I think it's really important that we have an opportunity to kind of start to introduce to other people that are watching us, just who are these people behind what these guys do? So who are the people behind you, JR? How do you get up? How do you know your markets? Because we already know in real estate, there's 190 things that any independent, 190 things that have to happen for every transaction. And it's a lot for one person to manage.
Yes. No, absolutely. I agree. I mean, even, working with you and your team and just leveraging our expertise, our resources and capabilities makes it that much easier. And when I think of a team, even when I decided to get into real estate, I always envision having that team, positioning myself in the marketplace as a one-stop shop, not compromising the level of service or excellence that we want the client to go through when it comes to experience how we serve them. But to do it best, you need a team, So I have a fantastic team that I work with that incorporates having the mortgage brokers, the lawyers, the staging company, the home inspector, the moving company, literally one-stop shop. And it makes it a lot easier too, because when you think about the client not having to really go anywhere, it's by choice. By all means, it's still by choice. But if they can see the value in the team that's presented to serve them at the highest level, and the process of how we walk them through the process, then they adapt to it. And so far that they love it, they really appreciate it. So teamwork makes the dream work.
Teamwork makes the dream work. And I think that's one of the things, Jared, that really resonated when we got in, basically how we got introduced and just learning more about how you got into the industry and what are you doing and how do you support your clients and how are you serving them? And, you mentioned a really important word. It's for what we do, JR. I mean, A, I think it's a privilege, and B, you're so absolutely correct. For one person to try to do it all, it's about it's a whole conception to completion process. So, yeah. As someone's coming into the market, there's a lot of times they don't know, they don't. Sometimes I've literally had sometimes experience where they might think we do mortgages where no, but you've got to already have that relationship established with right. Who you feel comfortable that you could refer the person to. Because without getting approved, I don't know how many have, $400,000 or $500,000, $800,000 of cash in the bank that buy homes.
Right. Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, as realtors, as you know, there's only so much we can do. So I even go as far as introducing myself, not just as the realtor, but also as the quarterback. That person that's going to make sure that as we introduce them to other partners, putting the full team together, that I'm still here along the way to ensure that they have a great experience working with all of the partners, and that in speaking to me, when we do speak, there's nothing that I wouldn't know. meaning, we're all making sure, even though we respect confidentiality, that the client is open to how we work together and that everybody knows what's happening and is playing their role in position to ensure the client has a more smooth experience transition, and we all can manage the emotions in making such a big purchase as well.
Yeah, I think you just said something that really resonates, and that's kind of managing the emotion. So
Yeah.
I always have that magic question, JR, is like, what inspired you to come into this space? So a lot of people come into real estate come from different backgrounds, different. So what inspired you to get into real estate?
Great question. When I transitioned and left from my previous job, it was corporate sales. I had worked for UPS for quite some time. I was what you call a brokerage account executive. So speaking with C-level executives, owners of the companies, soliciting them to use UPS to import into Canada. And that was a great job for the time being. I was there for 6 years, but it was perfect. I loved it. I'm an entrepreneur at heart. A lot of my background has been in sales, including direct sales. So, when it comes to, selling or providing a service, for me, it's easy. And talking with people, interacting with people, it's really easy. I just needed to now find a vehicle that has unlimited income potential when it comes to my children. And how can I create or position myself to create assets or create legacy? What can I build to leave behind in order to assist and to help them? So it's more than just about me. What can I do for my 3 boys? I have 3 boys, ages 7, 9, and 19, and I just wanted to get something started. So I transitioned into real estate because purchasing properties, acquiring properties as an investor.
And I know you're an investor. We know we've had chat, and I know you've had an opportunity to work along some pretty bright-minded people as well. So would you mind maybe expanding a little bit on that? Because you are an investor. You are absolutely a people person. You care immensely. I think one of the things that really resonated also is, why are you in it? When you shared with me, you really want to help people build generational wealth. That I knew that, there's some similarities. And then we started doing more together. We're like, JR, you're our go-to Toronto partner. Like, you cover everything from the A to the T. So HX to Toronto. Well, that's a nice, because we're not on the east side. And, this notion of realtors getting in their vehicles and driving all over the place, that's okay. But when you come spend the time and uncover, and you're now working with people that would take care of someone, partnering it's such a great scenario. But
on that note, this is where I was going to tie the two together. The whole, theme of, my motto, what I really stand for in helping individuals or families use real estate as a vehicle to create wealth from one generation onto the next. Now, I need to live that. I need to actually show that, right? So when I talk about my children, it's the same things that I want to help others to be able to do. This is what also is motivating me to make sure I'm doing it for my children as well, right? And that stemmed from when I had launched a nonprofit organization called Rise Above for Excellence. And we conducted workshops. And the 4 pillars that we focused on was real estate and home ownership when it comes to using it as a vehicle to create wealth. So let's talk about that. Public speaking, being able to teach the art of public speaking. Relationships, the importance of relationships, personal, business, family, how far it can really take you in understanding how to cultivate relationships, and financial literacy. Those were the 4. So, helping those within the community and folks to really just learn how it could be a powerful vehicle is where that started from. And then the relationship with some partners that I have that are also builders that own brokerages, that are sales reps, and they used to come in to facilitate the workshops. And that's how I learned more for myself. And I was consulting, helping folks to learn more And then eventually I said, you know what, I'd love to get into the field, not just as an investor, but let me actually see how it feels to do sales in that arena as well. And yeah, helping families use real estate as a vehicle to create wealth.
That's, I'm very well. Sometimes I think what can happen, JR, is people just sort of see us and then just, oh, you just got there, and don't realize there's a path, right? It's a journey. And you also shared something really that resonates, and that is, as you were bringing people in, you're learning, right? They're coming in and they're delivering, and you're learning, and you're like, oh my gosh. And so leading by example, you've got your children, and similar like to yourself, you have got 3 girls. And similar, the only difference is we've got 2 adults and a younger one. But you know what they do? They watch us. It's not what we tell them; they just watch us. So we kind of, we want to lead by example.
Yeah,
we want to lead by example. So the process of going from doing that into getting up and running in real estate, what did that look like for you?
Great question. So when I decided to study for my license, I was still working with UPS at the time. But when I did complete my license, and I transitioned into real estate, I just went in full time. I just dove right in. You know that saying, you may not know how to swim, but if you get thrown in that water, you're gonna figure it out, right?
So, yeah, there's no option. Yep.
Yeah, so I was ready to jump into the ocean and figure it out, because I was very confident that I can learn it. I had some great mentors. A friend of mine, Isaac Olowalafi, one of the guests that you've had on your show, Isaac Olowalafi Jr. I joined his brokerage. These were the gentlemen that were coming in facilitating the workshops at the nonprofit. And I decided to partner with them because we'd done some business together, built great relationship together. So I went with them, and it wasn't difficult for me to do the things that I needed to do. I think you just got to allow time. You still have to allow time to take its toll. Nothing's going to happen overnight. Opportunities are just not going to drop into your lap. You just have to, put in the work and put in the time and understand people when it comes to making such a purchase, right? And that's what's going to be new, because now they're making a new purchase. There's going to be some emotions. There's going to be some steps and obstacles. How do I handle it when it's presented to me is going to be the new experience or challenge. And I was prepared for it. So I think for me, it was it's a good start, and it was a good run. I'm still a rookie though. I consider myself still a rookie, but so far so good. No complaints.
Well, I view a little differently in that area, but you know what? Because you're coming in with it, you've got experience, and like I think this is sort of where we shortchange ourselves a little bit, JR, is when we come in with business experience, working with people, or it's more like relationship experience. And like you said, you understand, this is an emotional decision that people are going through. And then you didn't just jump in, you did some, consideration as to, all right, that's what I want to achieve. But in order for me to do that, you've got to be in an industry that's going to allow you to do that. So, how can you really help families? How can you help build generational wealth? How can you help? Well, real estate is a very unlimited industry.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, to your point, I started, before I got my license, because I was consulting with folks and helping them during our workshop sessions. I was, constructing deals together, doing joint ventures for folks so they can grow their down payments larger. There was a lot that I was doing. But, sometimes when people get into real estate, they go into it part-time versus full-time, meaning they're not doing anything. I'm not doing anything else, I just went in full-time.
My friend, yeah.
Yes. But yeah, the biggest thing for me when I came in also was I had the investor cap on and the mindset on. So the first thing was, let me secure some properties for myself. So when I'm also speaking with people and wanting to help them to do the same, I have properties under my belt. I have some experience. I know what I'm talking about. I can relate to people a lot better because I've been through the process. So there's a sales side of it, then there's the investor side of it, and really how to make those decisions, you know?
Makes sense. That makes perfect sense. Um, where do you want to be in 3 years?
Where do I want to be in 3 years? Actually, it's funny. I answered that question on my series that I launched 3 weeks ago. The
Okay.
Journey with JR. It's a new YouTube series, and it's an opportunity for folks to be able to get to know a little bit more about me, where I came from, how I arrived to where I'm at, some of the folks that I work with, be introduced to my family, friends, and also see another side of me that also shares music and spoken word in the form of art and things that I love and I enjoy. So I see myself doing real estate until these platinum hairs take me over for a long time. Definitely launching into establishing, perhaps my own family brand or company or brokerage. Right now, I'm licensed with Forest Hill Real Estate in Toronto, a wonderful brokerage, family owned as well too. The office that I work out of is the founders of Forest Hill. And so I definitely see myself doing real estate, and I also see myself, establishing the organization to where we can really help those that are seeking mentorship, and helping to show others, how they too can benefit in financial literacy, real estate as a vehicle, relationships, and public speaking. These 4 areas to just grow that as an organization to impact others and make a difference. And music. I love music. I love spoken word in the arts. So those are the things I see myself doing until God has other plans for me.
And well, first, thank you for sharing that. And thank you for sharing something, I think, to the audience that's watching that gives people, I'm going to call it permission that, like JR, you're a father of 3 beautiful boys. You're a husband of a beautiful wife. You're JR. You've got the corporate background. You're a business person. You care about people at the end of the day. You're in this for the long term, not the short term, but you're diverse. But we recognize too that all other people, we don't just wake up one day and say, okay, we're going to drop $500,000 on a house. There's other things that we have in our life, if you will. So you just sort of shared the mere fact that you've got music as your passion.
Mm-hmm. Yes, if I wasn't, you paused on me. Sorry about that.
It's really important. Okay, I think it's really important because as you're kind of evolving and growing in that area, first of all, you always work on your art. I mean, many people that we are connected with, JR, have, we work with all different kinds of people, and this in partnering where, some people, they are in different industries, and it's a relationship based industry. So it's not always just about once we uncover what they're looking for or the home that we're selling. It's a relationship-based industry. We have clients long-term. So that just the fair fact that you have interests and you're diverse, I think it's important that people understand too, as realtors, where however we work, there's you follow what you love to do. We could love to do 3 different things, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you're giving people opportunity.
No, you're right. Absolutely. I think if people can get to know you at the core, and for me, it's about being genuine, and allowing people to really see who you are at heart, and you're not just looking to make a transaction. You're really looking to build and establish a long-term relationship, because at the end of the day, if the model is to create generational wealth, I want to, serve you and to provide you, a fantastic experience, get you across the finish line. But I want you to know that I'm here for you. I'm here for your children. I'm here for your children's children. So it's not about just a transaction. It's about building a genuine relationship and going above and beyond and putting the client's interests first. And I think if they can get to know you and see who you really are at the core, they'll gravitate to you, right? So, people might reach out to me because I'm a realtor and they're looking to purchase a property. Someone might have heard me speak on a stage and I was teaching a lesson when it comes to, youth. with the organization, and they were captivated by what we were saying and doing, and then they find out I'm a realtor, right? So you just never know. People can hear a song on the radio or a positive message that really inspires them, and they just gravitate to you, and then they find out that you can help them in real estate, right? You just never know. So for me, I just want to put it all out there.
And I love that. I love that. I love that because I think JR is similar. And some people see, me show up in different areas, but I'm showing up in the areas I care about.
Yeah.
And I care about. And I like the long term thinking. You like music as an example. I mean, my brother's a musician, recording engineer. I've got some of it. My father-in-law I can't sing. I'm none of that. I had to learn the manual way, but I don't have the ear for it. But I did have a bit of that. But do I love you? Absolutely, yes. Now, am I involved? There's other things that I'm, I do. I'm very much systems thinking, and I like the tech world, the digital world, there's all of that. But do I care about people? I care so much about people that sometimes I don't even realize, oh my gosh, all this time is gone. I've got to go over to this person. I care almost to the point where I want to be able to help so many, and you are so accurate what you said. This is not a race game. It's not and when you come into the industry, you care so much, but you do realize that, things it takes time, right? Yeah. It takes time. And these are big decisions that people are going through. And the opportunity to help people with this big decision, we can move really quick, but you are so correct. We're here for the long term, not the short term.
Yeah, if there's any advice that I would give to anyone looking to get into the market, whether it's a first-time home buyer or you're looking to acquire some more investment properties, is just to understand the process. I always say to folks, don't get anxious, okay? Get excited, okay, that we're gonna get you across that finish line, but there is a process, one step at a time. And, we can't get to 10 unless we cross through 1 to 5, but you're in good hands. We have the team. We're going to take care of you. Just trust the process. And at the end of the day, whether it's an investment property or your end property, there's a property with your name on it. And that property with your name on it, nobody else is going to be able to have it, and everything's going to happen according to God's time. But we got to take action with the right people and understand it's a process, and get excited but not anxious.
I really like that, because I had not heard of that before, Jason, but it makes a lot of good sense, because you're so right. And I know just not long ago, Cindy, who you've had a chance to meet, my partner here in Hamilton and Halton, knows her stuff outside. And that's the one thing that she does. She's consistent with everybody, but when she meets with them, she's very attentive to really understanding, okay, that's what we're looking for, but she explains that. This is a process. And it's really important that as we're taking them through, we're also vetting to make sure, all right, we need to know they're approved, okay? And if they're not, how we're gonna help them. Or we come across sometimes different people that, JR, like yourself, which I just heard you say a few minutes ago, you're very solution orientated. So if they need help with how they raise their down payment, or if they want to get into the market, but maybe they just don't have enough, that doesn't mean they can't. Maybe they partner up with someone. Yep. And I love that thinking, because home ownership and affordable living, and what we're starting to see right now in this market, we know the bottom line, we have more people in this world than less, and that's only going to become more. And we have a lot of people that come to Canada. So that opportunity to help people that they can build their own wealth, 90% do it in real estate. But for people to try and do it on their own, it's just, not to say that, okay, you can, but when you're working with realtors that have come with the experience and they're doing it. So you're an investor, you know what it's like to have an investment property. Our realtors, same thing on our team, they have investment properties. They're walking with experience, as opposed to they've never done it, and then now they're working with someone that's what they want to do.
Yeah, no, absolutely, so true and correct. And going back to the series, the journey with JR, I think it's important to let people know that they can do it. There's so many examples of other people that have achieved success in achieving that real estate goal. And I just want to inspire people that you're going to be able to cross that finish line. And we just want to show examples of people doing it. I want to introduce people to the team that's going to help them support getting them across the line, and then just be an example for others to say, hey, you know what? I did it. So can you. It's not that difficult. And let's get you across the finish line into home ownership or to get those investment properties that you seek, you know?
Awesome. So having kind of, and I appreciate the time, JR. So we're going to wrap up in a few minutes because I know that I know where you are and what you're doing, and you're not exact. You got showings, you got people, and you know the day in the life of a realtor, if you will. And,
I'm also sitting outside of Canadian Tire. I need to go buy some things.
Yeah, and still be able to be attentive to your wife and your kids. It's just bless you for being who you are. But
speaking of that, just to say, speaking of the wife, I can't leave her out. You know, we're a high school sweetheart.
So
process of getting her license as well. She wants to join the team. So you know, she has one more exam or two more exams to go. So
you know what? I send nothing but prayers and energy and focus, and she's gonna get there. And I say to many, look, JR, I failed every other exam. I mean, I almost got there, but for me, I got to memorize it. So she's almost there. She's going to do it. But you just, you know, said it, to have a very supportive partner makes the world of a difference. And I know on my end, it's the same. It was my husband that told me, get your license. I know you and Roy knows you. So
well,
it's absolute. So I have one magic question at the end. What would be your last little piece of advice, JR, that you would provide to somebody that's just contemplating getting into this industry?
Here's the last piece of advice that ties right back to my motto. My last piece of advice is it's two parts. It's one, that you can do it. You can do anything you put your mind to. If you look around you and you see properties, houses, commercial establishments, plazas, somebody owns that. Why can it not be you or your family? Okay. So think about more than just yourself. I would say it's more than just that home. It's more than just you. Think about your children and how you can help them, because it's going to be more challenging as we move forward, right? With a lot of changes and how things are, you know, it's going to be more challenging and more competitive as well. So how do you help your children? If you have a property, you're sitting on a lot of equity. You know, let your money work for you. Don't be house poor, okay? And let's get access to those funds so we can invest and create assets, more assets. And for some people say property are not assets, but you can turn them into assets if you're managing it right, okay? And it's bringing in cash flow and appreciation is taking place. You can go access 200,000, 300,000. That's asset. Who else is going to give you that money? So think of getting yourself in a position. You're going to start now. It might take a little while. That's okay, but you got to start. Start now, and let's have the consultation so we can think about helping you to get into a position where you can make it easier to help your children to get into a position, and it can be easier to help your children's children be in a fantastic position. So let's think big when it comes to real estate and not think small.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. First, you know what, and I bless the good Lord every day that we connected. To have, because it's expanding. It's not, JR, you know me well, I think now. Mm-hmm. I am not sort of tied to, it's got to be this brokerage or control. People buy from people.
Yeah.
Now, growing a partnership and team, it comes down to having that similar cultural thinking. So culture, we heard that word culture. Well, that's as your group grows and grows and grows. So solution orientated, you care at the end of the day. You know, it's a big decision. We're not pushing pencils here, people. We don't product push. We move very quickly, but we're here to help each other. And all that knowledge, this is a legal-based industry. And it's an industry where 90% make their net wealth, their net worth. So when you're an investor, I'm an investor, you know, Roy's an investor, Cindy's an investor, Isaac, as you just mentioned, from DreamWork, who
Dreammaker.
Dreammaker, thank you. And the first people that know me, I sometimes get words mixed up a little, but I really do think it's a learning disorder. I think I struggle from a little bit, but no, you know what? I've never let it stop me.
Yeah.
And what
absolutely. You said all the right things. And for those that don't have children, then think about retirement and lifestyle and really enjoying yourself to the fullest, you know. But no, I thank you, Michelle, for making the time and having me on the show. And I hope anything that we shared, is a benefit to the listeners, and they can walk away with at least a few nuggets, you know.
I love it. So, unfortunately, my borrowed data, because we're having internet issues, is working. So I got to thank somebody in our household for that. So the internet in Bella went down a few days ago, and we have the technician in the house today.
Yes.
So I'm going to let you get on with your evening, but just thank you for coming in on short notice. I know that we want the rest of the team, and we've been talking about that for some time. I know you're busy, JR, but I really appreciate you. Thank you. And in August, we'll line up some time towards maybe the mid-end of August, and we'll have your entire team.
Yeah, no, for sure. We appreciate that. Look forward to it. I'll ask for folks to go subscribe to the YouTube channel, JR Thomas, THOMAS Realty. You can search for me on YouTube, subscribe, and go watch the series. Part 3 was yesterday. So episode 1, part 1, 2, and 3 are available, and get to learn a little bit more about myself, family, friends, and the team. Thank you, Michelle. Have a fantastic day.
And thank you for letting me know as well, because now I know too, people can do homework. I can point them in the right. And thank you for blessing you for recognizing the importance of digital technology.
Yes. Video is king. All right.
Okay. Have an awesome one tonight, hon. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye. Bye.